On a bright Monday morning in September, Principal Sarah Thompson stood at the entrance of Lincoln Heights Academy, greeting students as they walked through the front doors. She had been the principal here for 15 years, and she took pride in maintaining strict rules about proper school attire. The morning was going as usual until she spotted a tall man wearing a bright red MAGA hat walking toward the school entrance. At first, she didn't recognize him through the morning sun. The man wore simple blue jeans and a black t-shirt that looked expensive but plain. "Excuse me, sir," Principal Thompson called out, stepping forward with her clipboard held tight against her chest. "We have a strict no-hat policy in our school." The man stopped and turned to face her. Principal Thompson's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the face of Elon Musk, the famous billionaire. But rules were rules, and she had spent years making sure everyone followed them exactly. "I'm sorry, Mr. Musk, but you'll have to remove the hat," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. Several students had stopped to watch, phones already out to record what was happening. Elon Musk smiled slightly. "I understand there are rules, Principal Thompson," he said calmly, "but I think we might need to have a conversation about some changes that are coming to Lincoln Heights Academy." Principal Thompson frowned. "Changes? What changes?" "I wasn't informed of any changes." She had just had a board meeting last week, and nobody had mentioned anything about changes. "Well," Musk said, taking off the red hat and holding it in his hands, "that's because the paperwork was only finished on Friday. You see, through my education foundation, I've just become the new owner of Lincoln Heights Academy." Principal Thompson felt the clipboard slip from her fingers. It hit the ground with a loud clatter that seemed to echo across the suddenly silent schoolyard. All around them, students were furiously typing on their phones, and she knew this scene would be all over social media within minutes. The new owner," she stammered. "But how? Why?" Musk picked up her clipboard and handed it back to her. "Lincoln Heights has an excellent record in science and mathematics. I've been looking for schools to turn into testing grounds for new educational technology. Your students' test scores caught my attention." Principal Thompson took the clipboard with shaking hands. Her mind was racing. In all her years of education, she had never faced a situation quite like this. She had just tried to discipline one of the richest men in the world, who was now technically her boss. "Should we continue this conversation in your office?" Musk suggested kindly. "I have some interesting ideas about adding a robotics program and updating the computer labs with neural interface technology." As they walked toward the building, Principal Thompson could hear the excited whispers of students around them. She noticed Musk had quietly put the hat back on his head, but somehow she couldn't find the courage to mention the dress code again. Inside her office, Musk pulled out a tablet and began showing her plans for the school that made her head spin. Robot teaching assistants, computer chips that could help students learn faster, and something called Neuralink for education that she wasn't quite sure she understood. "Of course," Musk said, looking at her over the tablet, "these changes will only work if we have the right leadership team in place. Someone who can balance traditional educational values with innovative new ideas." Principal Thompson sat straighter in her chair. Was she about to lose her job? After 15 years of dedicated service, would she be replaced by some tech-savvy administrator who knew more about computers than children? "That's why," Musk continued, "I want to offer you a new position. How would you feel about becoming the Director of Educational Innovation for all the schools in our new network?" Principal Thompson blinked in surprise. "All the schools? There are more." Musk nodded, a sparkle in his eye. "Lincoln Heights is just the beginning. We're planning to create a network of technology-focused schools across the country. And we need someone who understands both traditional education and the importance of rules and structure to help guide this transition." Just then, Principal Thompson's phone buzzed. Her daughter had sent her a link to a TikTok video that was already going viral. The clip showed her confronting Musk about his hat, and the comments were filled with people debating whether she would keep her job. "So," Musk said, either not noticing or politely ignoring her phone, What do you think about the new position? Are you ready to help revolutionize education? Principal Thompson looked at the man sitting across from her desk. The same man she had tried to send away just 30 minutes ago was now offering her the opportunity of a lifetime. Life really could change in an instant, she thought. Principal Thompson took a deep breath and looked at the tablet on her desk showing Musk's plans for the school. The 3D models of robot teaching assistants and advanced computer labs seemed like something from a science fiction movie. But here they were, about to become real in her school. I would be honored to accept the position, she said finally. But I have some concerns about how these changes might affect our students. Musk leaned forward, interested. What kind of concerns? Well, she began, finding her confidence returning. Many of our students come from families that might not be comfortable with technology like neural interfaces, and some families might not be able to afford new devices or equipment. Musk nodded seriously. That's exactly why we need someone like you in this position. You think about the human side of technology. I'm planning to provide all the equipment free of charge to students, and nothing will be mandatory. Families can choose what level of technology they're comfortable with. Just then, there was a knock at the office door. Mrs. Martinez, the school secretary, poked her head in. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the local news vans are starting to arrive. And the school board chairman is on the phone. Principal Thompson looked out her window. Sure enough, 3 news vans were pulling into the parking lot. She could see reporters setting up cameras and microphones. We should probably talk to them, Musk said, standing up. The news was supposed to be announced next week, but I guess my visit today moved up the timeline. As they walked toward the front of the school, Principal Thompson noticed something strange. Students were gathered in the hallways, but instead of their usual rush to get to class, they were working together in small groups, looking at their phones and tablets. What's going on? She asked a group of students. Jenny Chen, one of her best seniors, looked up excitedly. We're designing robots, Principal Thompson. Mr. Musk's company just released a special app for our school. We can submit designs for the new teaching assistant robots. Principal Thompson looked at Musk in surprise. He shrugged. I believe in moving fast. The app went live when I walked into the school this morning. The winning design will be used as the model for our first robot teaching assistant. Outside, the morning sun had grown stronger. News reporters rushed forward as soon as they stepped out of the building. Principal Thompson was grateful she had worn her best suit today. Mr. Musk, is it true you've bought Lincoln Heights Academy? Principal Thompson, will you keep your position? What changes can students expect? Musk held up his hands for quiet. Yes, through my education foundation, we have acquired Lincoln Heights Academy. Principal Thompson has just accepted a position as Director of Educational Innovation for our entire network of schools. We're planning to revolutionize education by combining traditional teaching methods with cutting-edge technology. Principal Thompson stepped forward to the microphones. Our focus will remain on providing the best education possible for our students. We're excited about the new opportunities this partnership brings, but we'll make sure no student is left behind as we move forward. The questions continued, but Principal Thompson's attention was drawn to her phone. Her daughter had sent another message. Mom, you're trending on Twitter, and they're calling you #TechPrincipal. Later that afternoon, after the news crews had left and students had gone home, Principal Thompson sat alone in her office. The MAGA hat incident from the morning seemed like it had happened years ago. She looked at the framed diplomas on her wall and the family photos on her desk. Change was coming, faster than she had ever expected. Her computer dinged with a new email. It was from Musk, with the subject line, "Welcome to the Future of Education." Attached were the preliminary designs submitted by students for the teaching assistant robots. She smiled as she scrolled through them. Some looked like famous robots from movies. Others were completely original designs. One even looked like a friendly dragon. As she packed up her things to head home, Principal Thompson paused at her office door. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more changes, and probably more surprises. But for the first time in her 15 years as a principal, she felt like she was truly at the forefront of educational innovation. Walking to her car, she passed the spot where she had confronted Musk about his hat that morning. A small group of students was still there, using augmented reality on their phones to place virtual robot designs in different spots around the school entrance. "Good night, Principal Thompson," they called out cheerfully. "We can't wait to see what happens tomorrow." "Neither can I," she said softly to herself, smiling as she got into her car. "Neither can I." As she drove home, the setting sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications about her viral moment and the exciting changes coming to Lincoln Heights Academy. The morning's embarrassment had transformed into an unexpected opportunity, and she couldn't help but wonder what other surprises the future might hold. Principal Thompson thought about all the students who would benefit from these changes, about the possibilities that technology could bring to education, and about her new role in shaping that future. Maybe sometimes, she realized, the most amazing opportunities come disguised as uncomfortable moments. And somewhere in her mind, she made a mental note to review the school's dress code policy first thing tomorrow morning. After all, in this new chapter of Lincoln Heights Academy, some rules might need to change with the times. The next morning, Principal Thompson arrived at Lincoln Heights Academy earlier than usual. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold. She noticed something different right away. Workers were setting up new equipment in the parking lot, and a large truck with the Tesla logo was parked near the gymnasium. Inside her office, she found a package waiting on her desk. It contained a sleek new tablet with a note from Elon Musk. "For our new Director of Educational Innovation, the future starts today." As she turned on the tablet, a holographic display appeared above it, showing a 3D model of Lincoln Heights Academy. Red dots blinked in different areas of the school, indicating where new technology would be installed. The cafeteria would get food-serving robots, the library would have virtual reality study pods, and every classroom would have an AI teaching assistant. Mrs. Martinez knocked on her door. "Principal Thompson, the first group of engineers is here, and you won't believe what they brought with them." Following Mrs. Martinez to the main hallway, Principal Thompson stopped in her tracks. A robot that looked exactly like the friendly dragon design one of her students had submitted yesterday was standing in the entrance. It was about 5 feet tall, with gentle blue eyes and small wings that moved slightly as it turned its head. "Good morning, Principal Thompson," the robot said in a warm, friendly voice. "I am ED1, but the students can call me Drake. I'm the first of the new teaching assistants for Lincoln Heights Academy." Principal Thompson walked around the robot, amazed at how quickly her student's design had been turned into reality. "How did they build you so fast?" she asked. "Mr. Musk's factories worked through the night," Drake explained. "He wanted to show the students that their ideas matter and can become real very quickly." Soon, students began arriving at school. Their reactions to Drake ranged from excitement to nervous curiosity. Jenny Chin, whose design had inspired Drake's appearance, stood frozen at the entrance, her mouth open in surprise. "Jenny," Principal Thompson called out, "would you like to meet Drake? He's based on your design." The girl approached slowly, then broke into a huge smile when Drake bowed politely to her. "This is amazing," she exclaimed. "I never thought they would actually build it." Throughout the morning, more changes appeared at Lincoln Heights Academy. The old computer lab was quickly transformed into a high-tech learning center with neural interface headsets. The cafeteria's new robot servers brought a sense of excitement to lunchtime. And in every classroom, teachers were learning to work with their new AI assistants. During third period, Principal Thompson received an urgent message. The governor wanted to visit the school to see the changes, and she was bringing other state education officials with her. "They'll be here in 2 hours," Mrs. Martinez said, looking worried. "Should we cancel classes?" Principal Thompson thought for a moment. "No," she decided. "Let them see the school as it really is, in the middle of this amazing transformation." have Drake greet them at the entrance. As she waited for the governor to arrive, Principal Thompson walked through the halls, watching how students and teachers were adapting to the changes. In the science lab, a teacher was using virtual reality to take students on a journey through a human cell. In the music room, an AI was helping students compose their own songs. And in the art studio, robots were helping students turn their digital designs into real sculptures. The governor arrived with a group of education officials and reporters. Drake greeted them at the door, causing several officials to step back in surprise. "Welcome to the new Lincoln Heights Academy," Principal Thompson said confidently. "We're redefining what's possible in education." As they toured the school, Principal Thompson could see the amazement on the officials' faces. Students were engaged in their lessons like never before. The combination of traditional teaching and advanced technology seemed to bring out the best in everyone. In one classroom, a student who usually struggled with math was solving complex equations with help from a neural interface that showed him step-by-step visualizations. In another, shy students were confidently giving presentations with support from AI assistants that helped calm their nerves. "This is revolutionary," the governor said, watching a group of students work with Drake on a physics experiment. "How soon can we implement these changes in other schools?" Before Principal Thompson could answer, Elon Musk appeared in the hallway. He had been quietly observing the school's transformation all morning. "That's where Principal Thompson's new role comes in," he explained. "As Director of Educational Innovation, she'll help us bring these changes to schools across the state, and eventually across the country." The governor turned to Principal Thompson. "It seems you've had quite a journey since yesterday morning's hat incident," she said with a smile, referring to the viral video everyone had seen. Principal Thompson laughed. "Yes, it's amazing how life can change in unexpected ways. Yesterday, I was worried about enforcing a hat rule. Today, I'm helping shape the future of education." As the day came to an end, Principal Thompson stood in front of the school, watching students leave. Many stopped to take selfies with Drake or show their parents the new technology through the windows. The Tesla truck was still unloading equipment, and workers were installing what looked like a small spacecraft in the courtyard. Her phone buzzed with a message from Musk. "Ready for tomorrow. We're adding teleportation pods for field trips to Mars." Principal Thompson smiled and shook her head. Just when she thought she was getting used to the changes, something new would surprise her. But that was exactly what made her new role so exciting. As the sun set behind the school, casting long shadows across the grounds, she could see the outline of tomorrow's possibilities taking shape. The old rules about hats and dress codes seemed far less important now. What mattered was preparing students for a future that was arriving faster than anyone had expected. Drake walked up beside her. "Principal Thompson," the robot said, "would you like me to show you tomorrow's schedule? We have 3 classes planning to visit the International Space Station virtually." "Of course," she replied. "But first, let me ask you something, Drake. Do you think I made the right decision, accepting this new role?" The robot's blue eyes sparkled. "You know what they say, Principal Thompson. Sometimes the best teachers are the ones who never stop learning themselves." She nodded, thinking about how much had changed in just 2 days. From confronting a man in a MAGA hat to leading an educational revolution, life really could take unexpected turns. And sometimes, those turns led to exactly where you needed to be. 1 month had passed since the famous MAGA hat incident that changed Lincoln Heights Academy forever. Principal Thompson sat in her new office, which was now located in a glass-walled addition on top of the school building. From here, she could see the entire campus and the amazing changes that had taken place. The old football field had been transformed into a spacecraft landing pad where students learned about space travel. The parking lot now had charging stations for flying cars that some of the older students were learning to pilot. And in the center of the campus, a beautiful garden grew food using advanced farming robots that taught students about sustainable agriculture. Drake, the dragon-shaped teaching assistant robot, entered her office carrying a holographic display. "Good morning, Principal Thompson. The first results from our new learning programs are ready for review." She gestured to the chair across from her desk, still amazed at how natural it felt to have conversations with a robot. "Show me, Drake." The hologram filled the air between them, showing charts and graphs of student performance. The results were incredible. Test scores had improved by 200% across all subjects. Student attendance was perfect because even sick students could attend class through robot avatars from home. And best of all, every single student reported feeling happier and more excited about learning. "These results are remarkable," Principal Thompson said, studying the data. "Have other schools started implementing our programs?" "Yes," Drake replied. 20 other schools across the country have received their first set of teaching assistant robots this week. And look at this. The hologram changed to show a news report. A reporter stood in front of a school in Japan that looked very similar to the new Lincoln Heights Academy. Following the success of Elon Musk's educational revolution in America, schools around the world are adopting the same technology. Principal Thompson's tablet chimed with a message from Musk. "Are you ready for Phase 2? Before she could reply, Mrs. Martinez's voice came through the intercom. "Principal Thompson, you might want to come to the front entrance. Something interesting is happening." When she arrived at the entrance with Drake, Principal Thompson found a crowd of students gathered around a strange sight. A man in a business suit was arguing with one of the security robots. He was wearing a bright red MAGA hat. "Sir," the robot was saying politely, "dress codes no longer apply at Lincoln Heights Academy. All forms of personal expression are welcome as long as they don't interfere with learning." The man turned out to be a parent who had heard about the school's success and wanted to enroll his daughter. He had worn the hat on purpose, expecting to be turned away like Musk had been. Instead, he found himself surprised by the robot's peaceful response. "Things are different now," Principal Thompson explained to him. "We've learned that what someone wears on their head is far less important than what's inside it. Would you like a tour of our facilities?" As they walked through the school, Principal Thompson couldn't help but smile at how much had changed. In the gymnasium, students were having zero-gravity basketball practice. In the chemistry lab, safe experiments were conducted using virtual reality, so no one could get hurt. And in the library, students from different countries attended classes together through holographic projections. "This is incredible," the parent said, watching his daughter try on a neural interface headset that would help her learn languages instantly. "But how can ordinary families afford all this?" "Everything is provided free of charge," Principal Thompson explained. "Mr. Musk believes that advanced education should be available to everyone, not just the wealthy." Later that afternoon, Principal Thompson had a virtual meeting with principals from other schools in the network. Their faces appeared as holograms around her conference table, along with their robot assistants. They discussed the upcoming changes for Phase 2 of the educational revolution. "Next month," she told them, "we'll begin offering virtual field trips to other planets. Students will be able to walk on Mars, explore the moons of Jupiter, and even visit other solar systems. Our science classes will never be the same." After the meeting, Principal Thompson took a walk through the school gardens with Drake. The robot had become not just an assistant, but a friend who helped her navigate this new world of educational possibilities. "Drake," she said, looking at the beautiful sunset over the spacecraft landing pad, "do you remember what I was like that first morning when I tried to enforce the hat rule with Musk?" "Of course," Drake replied. "You were doing what you thought was right at the time, but you were also ready to embrace change when it came. That's why you were the perfect choice to lead this revolution." A group of students ran past them, laughing as they played with their personal helper robots. In the distance, a small spacecraft was landing with students returning from their first trip to the moon's surface. Principal Thompson's tablet chimed again. This time, it was a message from the President of the United States. "Congratulations on your success. Would you be interested in becoming the Secretary of Future Education?" She looked at Drake, who nodded encouragingly. "The world is changing," the robot said. It needs leaders who aren't afraid of that change. As she considered the offer, Principal Thompson watched a new group of students arrive for the evening learning program. They came from all over the world, some physically present, others attending as holograms. They wore all kinds of clothes, including various hats, expressing themselves freely while learning at levels that would have seemed impossible just a month ago. "You know, Drake," she said, a year ago, "if someone had told me that getting upset about a hat would lead to all this, I would have thought they were crazy. But here we are, living in a future that arrived much sooner than anyone expected." Drake's blue eyes sparkled with artificial intelligence that somehow seemed very real. "Sometimes the best futures come from unexpected beginnings. Should I help you draft your acceptance letter to the president?" Principal Thompson looked once more at her beloved school, now a shining example of what education could be. "Yes," she said. "But first, let's finish giving today's students their chance to touch the stars." As they walked back into the building, a small robot zoomed past them, carrying a box of red hats. They were new school uniforms for the space exploration program, each one bearing the words, "Make education amazing again." Principal Thompson laughed at the sight. Life had a funny way of bringing things full circle, and sometimes the best way to handle unexpected change was to embrace it with an open mind and a willing heart.